Hi, Simon. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. I know you've had a busy meeting, day and a half meeting of the plenary meeting of the Scientific Committee, which was an open plenary, which is an interesting concept considering because of the coronavirus measures, it's not a physical meeting, it was a web meeting. I hope the technology was up to scratch and you had a good meeting. Perhaps you could just run us through quickly the main discussion points from today's meeting.
Yes, of course. Yes, it was a good meeting, and I think the fact it was electronic and online, in some ways there's advantages for observers to come from long distances to be able to see how we operate. In terms of the agenda, we had 3 substantive items, plus others, but the 3 substantive items, the first one related specifically to looking at the development of technical requirements that would enable submitters to establish the presence of small particles, including nanoparticles. So this work has been done several years ago looking at engineered nanoparticles. We now have situations where people are producing products that don't fit within those requirements but could still contain a small number of nanoparticles. So it's a technical document specifically to support and to assist applicants. That particular document was endorsed and will now go for public consultation. The second piece of work that we did is something that had been foreshadowed for some years, and it's essentially looking at epidemiological studies. So these are studies that bring together information from population-based studies, so not from experimental or animal-based studies, but human population-based studies. And how can we bring that evidence and use that to support the risk assessments that's undertaken across different panels within EFSA? So again, that work was endorsed. This case not for public consultation, but rather for testing. So what will happen is that the document, and most of the document, the first 3 of 4 chapters have been finalised and endorsed. They will now be essentially tested within each of the 10 EFSA panels over the next year. What lessons can we learn? And also moving forward to addressing the 4th and final applications chapter after that. And then the last substantive piece of work, which indeed we spoke about and discussed in detail this morning, looks at the issue of health-based guidance values. So these are values that EFSA set that are important for guiding decisions around how much, for example, how much additive should be applied to food, or what is a dangerous level of a contaminant in food. And we have a situation where health-based guidance values have been created under different frameworks, different regulatory frameworks, some related to nutrients and some related to additives and regulated products. But there are situations, and we could use copper as an example, which is clearly a nutrient. We need copper in our diet, but also copper is a regulated product and used as a pesticide. So we have a situation there, very different regulatory perspectives. And how can we achieve harmonisation of those different approaches to creating, to establishing, health-based guidance values? So a very detailed discussion, and it really follows the theme of seeking to harmonise as best we can approaches across EFSA and indeed approaches with other national and indeed more importantly international agencies. This was a document that was again endorsed for public consultation. And that document will be available shortly for a 2-month period of public consultation. The last piece of work which was raised to start, we haven't started it yet, but it was provided by the Commission, related to establishing acceptable daily intake for exposure to copper. And that obviously has linkages back to the document I spoke about previously. So in that case, a working group was established, and that work will proceed now into the next year or 18 months or so to provide an answer that specifically to assist the Commission.
Thanks a lot, Simon. It sounds like a really busy and a really interesting meeting. I'm sure the observers got a lot out of it, the people who were able to listen in on your discussions. And thanks for taking the time to talk to us, because I know it's quite draining having such a lengthy meeting. But it's great to talk to you again, and I hope everything's well with you, and see you again soon for another chat.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.